Hello everybody, wherever you may be. Welcome to Season 2 of Leo's Coast to Coast. We've got Nye County's Lieutenant Eric Murphy, and we are live.
You know well, I'm a chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio.
Well, how about that, huh? Doesn't get much better. Welcome everybody. Hey, how are you? We're going to do it this way this time. I love this song. You know, for those of y'all that know the Zac Brown Band, this is really special. And it's really about the simple life. And we're going to talk about this with Lieutenant Murphy and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like that, you know? Lieutenant Murphy, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Larry. How are you?
You know, I'm very blessed and grateful to have you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. How's it going today in the southern tip there of Nye County?
It's going good. It's a little warm today, but it's going good.
You guys average like over 100 degrees per day in July and August, don't you?
Yeah, that's correct. It's warm, and then it's monsoon season, so we got a lot of humidity in this time of the year too.
You guys catch up with the monsoons down from Arizona. I didn't realize it went up that far north. Well, you guys are in the Mojave still, but you guys have some elevation there.
Right.
You guys are about 2,500 feet in elevation, I understand. Could you tell us a little bit now? You are an interesting man that we've had. I mean, I'm really excited to know about your history because you've actually worked in two areas of public service. You came into police work from fire department, right? You were a fireman.
That's correct. In 1992, when I was 18 years old, I became a volunteer fireman at the time it was the Pahrump Volunteer Fire Department. And I stayed there until 2003 when I got hired by the sheriff's office and became a police officer. Excellent.
Okay. Having a house fire before and losing almost everything we had, I can tell you that I give you credit because, brother, I give you credit because you run in when we're running out, and to do what you did, wow, thank you. Thank you for your service, both fighting fires, of course, and serving as a police officer there in Nye County. You've got quite a history there, don't you? My goodness, are you originally from Pahrump there?
My parents moved me and my younger brother here in 1978 to Pahrump, so I've been in Pahrump since 1978.
Tell us about Pahrump. We see it most of the time at night, although this time of year we get to see it during the daytime. Tell us about the area, what it's like.
It's very spread out. People have large properties to small properties. We have some subdivisions that the houses are close, and there's really no cap on what size property you can own. You can own from, like I said, a very small property all the way up to 10, 15 acres, and it's very spread out.
Well, and you guys are actually very close to Las Vegas as well, aren't you? In terms of Nye County positioning, you're very close to Las Vegas, much closer than Reno.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We're about drive-wise, you can be in Vegas in about 45 minutes. Part of our county actually connects with right up to Clark County, so we have some MOUs where we respond into Clark County for accidents and stuff.
Is that right?
Then we have.
Wow. And it's a large county too. You actually have one of the largest counties in the country. In fact, in terms of, I don't know if you know this, I was doing, the background work with this before we started. Pahrump it's very interesting. The actual demographics of it, when you talk about the census designated place, and that's how the United States figures their census, Pahrump is the largest area outside of Alaska. Okay, it's number 11. The top 10 are in the state of Alaska. So, that's for the census, designated place. But what's interesting about Pahrump is it's quite a varied population as well. You have people like, I don't know if people know this, Michael Jackson had a house there. He built a house. He raised his kids there for a while. People who remember Art Bell, who had the show Coast to Coast AM, is from there. He also did the show from Pahrump for a while. Then he did it from the Philippines and came back to Pahrump. And there's an interesting set of laws there. I read a law that was passed back in the early 2000s that you cannot fly a foreign flag in Pahrump. And if you do, the United States flag has to be atop. It always has to be above that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, really. Is that one of those weirdo laws that most people don't know about, or rulings that people don't know about, or is it just not a big deal?
I think a lot of people just don't know about it. I think it's one of those interesting ones, but like you said, I just don't think people really know about that law.
Yeah, it's very interesting. When I read about that, I was like, my goodness sakes, that's an interesting law, how they came up with that. Tell us about Live PD. Now, you're on almost every week. What's it like for you to travel with the folks from Live PD?
I think my personal opinion is it's very interesting. They're a great group of people. They do their job very well. They try to cover all aspects of law enforcement. They try to stay out of our way and not interfere. And that's one of the concerns they've always had, is that they like to make sure that they're not hindering us in any way. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're just a great group of guys. They keep you company, and you get to know personal things about them. And I think the neatest thing is you build friendships with them also. Mm-hmm.
Because basically Pahrump is a fairly small town. I'm sure you get recognized there without Live PD, but still, that show has to have exponentially increased your presence there, I would say. Would that be accurate?
Oh, that is very accurate, yes. Matter of fact, today I just walked into the local Walmart that we have here, and I had a couple people stop me and ask me for my autograph and shake my hand and thank me for what I do every day. And I think that's the neat part about it, is like you said, we're a small community and you're recognized anyway, but it's even more recognition now because people are seeing us on TV.
The famous Walmart, yes, and that's been featured a few times on Live PD, and I know you've been there as well on those episodes.
Yes, I have.
Wow. Tell us, if you would, one of the things I think that people probably would like to know is, what's it like to work for a Nye County Sheriff's Office? What's it like to work there?
My personal feeling is I think it's a great agency to work for. Our sheriff has our back 100%. As you've seen that on the show sometimes, where she comes out and is right on the front lines with us. And she works very hard to make sure that we're safe. We have, equipment from the most present equipment that we can have to make sure that we all go home at the end of the day. And I think that's huge. I think it's very important that you have a sheriff that has your back. Absolutely.
Speaking of sheriffs, you actually ran for sheriff once, didn't you?
I did. I ran, not this time, but the time prior to that. I threw my name in the hat and attempted to run for sheriff.
What was that like? Tell me what it's like to be a candidate.
That was a new animal to have to deal with. I mean, you're out there talking to people, your face is everywhere. Mm-hmm. You can never make everybody happy. And when you're running and you're new to the political aspect of it, people like to, they want to see what you are and they want to see what you're about. And, the problems they have with the agency prior, they want that fixed. And it was definitely a different animal that I was not prepared for. It was very interesting.
I would assume, because your experience is so varied. We're on the phone here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada. We're grateful to have him today. And not only was he a volunteer fireman, but he moved over to the Nye County Sheriff's Office. He also ran for sheriff in Nye County. And there's also a very interesting thing that happened to him back in 2008. You owe your life to a bulletproof vest, don't you?
I do, Larry. I had probably one of the scariest moments you can ever have as a police officer. Mm-hmm. We were responding to a report of shots fired, which happens quite often out here in Nye County because we're so spread out. People go out and fire off their weapons, or people call in and say there's shots fired and there's fireworks, and there's just it happens quite often. Mm-hmm. And when my partner first arrived at the location, it was a local RV park here, and he exited his vehicle and immediately started taking fire from an individual. Wow. So we started responding and getting to the area, and I came through at a different location of the RV park to make sure that we were not, we had no crossfire and were shooting at each other. And I happened to go where he was, and it was dark, and I couldn't see him, and he was using decorative material like rocks and trees and stuff to keep him covered where you couldn't see him, and I ended up walking past him, and he shot me 3 times in the back.
My goodness. And then you were actually airlifted in critical condition to Las Vegas at that point, weren't you?
That's correct. I had one of the rounds entered my left rib cage and went all the way through my body and exited out my back. And then I had one round in my stomach that the vest had stopped, and then I had a third round that was in my back, entered my back and was stuck up in my right shoulder.
Wow. Now, folks, when you watch Live PD and you see Lieutenant Murphy on, you've got to know what kind of a brave individual he is, because this gentleman not only went and fought fires, but he also, of course, is brave to be a police officer, but he also took fire to the point where he was fighting for his life and was airlifted to Las Vegas, and he was able to be saved. But then he did something I think that's really, really difficult. He put the uniform back on again and continued to serve his community. How hard was that to do?
It was hard. Of course, anybody knows that they're in a situation like that or any traumatic event. There's some stuff down that as you go through, you have to handle, and you have to do some soul searching, and you have to decide if this is, if you want to continue this thing. And I did. I decided that, this is the career I wanted to stick with. And, I tell people all the time, even with that occurring and what happened to me, this is still the best job in the world. And I still love my job. That's
fantastic. We're on the phone with Nye County's Lieutenant Eric Murphy. We're grateful to have him. If you'd like to speak with Lieutenant Murphy, the phone number is 503-420-4062. That is 503-420-4062. What do you think prepared you to be a sheriff's deputy there in Nye County, Lieutenant Murphy?
I think what prepared me a lot was, I think a lot of it was the fireman part of it too. When I was a fireman, I became an EMT, worked on the ambulance. So I think I got to deal with a lot of people and, treating people. And I think that just prepared me big time to be a law enforcement officer.
When you were in the fire department, did you long to be a police officer, or was it something that kind of came to you as you served?
It just came to me. I had a couple of friends of mine at the time that were working at the sheriff's office, and they kind of just egged me on to join the sheriff's office and become a police officer. I was never one of those that, as a kid I dreamed of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what pushed me toward it, and I could never be happier. I mean, like I said earlier, I love my job. I love what I do for the citizens, and even like I said, even after what happened to me, I still think it's the best job in the world.
We're on the phone with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada. We're honored to have him today. What do you think has been the most honorable part of your job since you started with Nye County Sheriff?
I think the most honorable part of my job and what I do is just the helping people. I love to help people, and I still, to this day, no matter what happens, I still believe that, that we're out here every day making a difference, that our job is to make a difference and help people, and I still believe we do that.
I would totally agree. I would think any fan of live PD would agree with that completely, seeing not only what you have to put up with, but also seeing how you handle it. That's the thing. I mean, it's one thing to be called names and treated poorly. It's another thing on how you react to it. It appears as though the way that the sheriff makes sure that you folks are trained, you respond professionally, you respond promptly, and you respond correctly. And for people who watch the show, I think that's something that really stands out about your department, which is fantastic. How long have you been in the sheriff's department there?
I've been with the sheriff's office for 15 years.
Okay, for 15 years now. There's got to be some stories. Okay, now we've heard stories about everything from a deputy's pants being taken off by by some razor wire to finding out that his gun wasn't in his holster. All kinds of things. Any funny stories or any unique stories you could tell us?
I think one of the ones that always sticks with me is, just like you said, the what you would call, I guess, the wardrobe malfunction situation. I think those come at the worst times. I would have to say I thank goodness that none of them have happened to me on live PD. But I think those are the ones that stick with you for a long time, are the ones where you go to climb a fence or something like that. And I've had that happen where you get caught up in the fence trying to get over the fence and it rips your pants, and next thing you know, your pants are torn all the way down to your ankle, and you got to go home and take care of that as soon as possible. But you still have to do the part of the job that needs to be done, and then worry about that kind of stuff later. Sure,
absolutely. In Nye County, you guys obviously are there. It's a highway system. For those that are not familiar with it, there is essentially a two-lane U.S. highway that goes from the Phoenix area, really. It goes, from really the Mexican border, and it goes in through Las Vegas and then through Pahrump. So I'm assuming in your area you see a lot of drug traffic issues. Would that be correct?
Yeah, we get a lot of trafficking through here. Our main part that we run, that we have to handle, is the US 95 that comes out of through Arizona and up through Vegas and all that. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those important highways. In the past they've rated that as one of the busiest highways for trafficking, because as you said, it's one of the main veins all the way through and up into northern Nevada and up into Idaho and Washington and all that. So it's a very busy highway. We've found some large loads coming through that highway, and it's very busy for us, and we have to concentrate on that, and our sheriff allows us to, and that's one of the other avenues of our job, is that we have to get out there and kind of enforce that a little bit too.
I can understand that could be quite a challenge, because instead of taking an interstate like in the West here, for the folks that are listening in the East Coast, Interstate 5 along the Pacific Coast, basically it's the western states. And then, you've got Highway 35, 17, so forth, and they're going north-south. There's a lot of different ways to go, but you could imagine a two-lane highway, kind of like what you think of Route 66, the old Route 66, being one lane each way for the most part. Could be maybe a good cover road to be able to do. So without giving any secrets away, I would assume that that's something that the Nye County Sheriff Office is very concerned about and keeps track of quite well. Do you do a lot of partnering? I know you spoke briefly about helping out Clark County, which is the county where Las Vegas is. Do you do quite a bit of that work with them? Because that's quite a ways from Las Vegas.
Yes, one of our partnerships that we do is we also work try to work hand in hand with the Nevada Highway Patrol, because that's being a U.S. highway. That's a lot of their jurisdiction. However, a lot of that is in our county, so it has to be a teamwork effort, and we do a lot of details with them. And as you were saying, we do a lot of details with the Las Vegas agencies to help them out, and they help us out. So, yeah, we have a great working relationship with all those agencies.
That's good. A lot of partnerships. What kind of community service work does the Nye County Sheriff usually get involved with? What do you guys like to do to help out the community?
There's a lot that we do. One of the things that I think is important and is a ton of fun is one of the things that Sheriff Worley is really strong about is the Shop with a Cop. We go out and do the shopping with kids at the stores, and during that holiday season, we do the traffic stops with people where we give them a ham or a turkey instead of a traffic ticket. And I think that's a huge part for, as you said earlier, Larry, a small community to reach out and touch their people and their community. And I think it's a huge aspect, and the sheriff is really big with it, as I am, is community policing. These are our people, and we have to have that relationship with them, and I think it's very important. I've been involved in it, and it's a great time to be with these kids and knock on these families' doors that don't know where their next meal is coming from during the holiday season, and we help out with that. And I think that's a huge thing for this agency, and I'm so happy that our sheriff allows us to do that.
I love that. Instead of a ticket, here's a turkey or a ham. I mean, what's nice about that is it's showing the human element, because, you guys, I think a lot of people would agree, it's got to be hard sometimes to give someone a ticket, because there's money involved and they may not have that kind of money, but you're human too, and you have feelings as anyone else does. For somebody that's out there, and this is really important, what's the best strategy, and I'm going to use that word on purpose, for someone being stopped by a police officer? What is the best thing they can do with that police officer?
My personal opinion has always been is just cooperate with what we ask you to do. We're not there to, intimidate people and harass people, and we're just like everybody else. We're one of those, it's one of those things that, we just have a job to do. And some of the things, like you said earlier, some of the things I've been through in my career is, I'm just like everybody else. I want to go home at the end of my shift, just like everybody else wants to go home at the end of their shift. And I think that's what's important. Is the most important thing for us is to be able to go home to our loved ones. And we don't want to hurt anybody, and we don't want anybody to hurt us.
And being from the place where you were, Lieutenant Murphy, being shot in the back 3 times, that really holds special meaning for you, I bet, doesn't it?
It does, and it's more pronounced now than it ever was. Is that I just, I want to go home every day, and we as police officers are just like everybody else, and we cherish life just as much as the other person.
If you could give some sort of advice to someone who's looking to get into law enforcement as a career, Lieutenant Murphy, what would you tell them?
I would be totally honest with them and tell them that if they feel that's the path they want to go down, that I think you should do it. There's no reason that anybody shouldn't be able to reach their dreams. And as I told you earlier, I will never change my mind, and that is that this is the best job in the world. And if that's the career you want to go to, I don't think anybody has a right to stop you. And you should be able to conquer your dreams. And if it's what you want to do, then I wholeheartedly think you should be able to do it.
That's great words. We're on the phone here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County Sheriff. A new live PD tonight at 9 p.m. East. It's 9 p.m. Pacific, too, and the reason is because it's recorded, see, and then we get to see it recorded. It's kind of live PD, but it's... Anyway, so Lieutenant Murphy, what's it like to work with Sergeant Barukovich? You got to tell me, dish some dirt here. What's it like? He seems like a really straight shooting guy.
Yeah, Lieutenant Berkowitz is an awesome guy. He's, him and I believe in the same things. We're just here to do a job. I don't know if he brought it up when you did the interview with him, but he was one of the officers that was on my shooting, and him and I are, pretty close, and, one of the reasons I'm standing here today is because of the job that he did out there, and, he's, as you can tell by what you see on Live PD, that is him, and that is the way I am also, is we're straight shooters, and we have a job to do, and, we work every day to make sure that we go home to our families. We both feel very strong about that.
Excellent. We're on the phone here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from the Nye County Sheriff's Office. I got to ask this question because in most states this does not exist. Do you ever get called out to the 2 brothels in town because there's a problem?
We do not. It's one of those, like the old saying, it's once in a blue moon. But we do not. We do not have very many issues there, and they kind of control things themselves.
Okay.
And every once in a while we go out there, but not very often do we go out there.
I had to ask because, for the most part, the other states in the union don't allow that. However, in Nevada, it is legal, and so when you see the Chicken Ranch or you go to Sherry's Ranch, that's not a ranch where you're going to buy ground beef. Okay,
that's correct.
Yeah, it's a little different. So. Had to throw that one in there. Help me understand here what it's like, a typical day in the life of Eric Murphy. What's it like?
I would have to say it's hectic. As a lieutenant in a small agency, it's one of those things where there's a lot demanded of us. And me, the sheriff demands a lot because it's one of those situations where, you're one guy, but you got 20 responsibilities. So I'm on the go a lot during my day, and I have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes it's stressful, and sometimes it's just part of the job, and, I love it. I love every part of it, and it's just running around every day is a daily occurrence, and I love every part of it, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's fantastic. I love your passion. You can tell that you're very peaceful where you're at, which I think, Lieutenant Murphy, that's the key to really being happy in life. If you find a career that is truly your passion, it's no longer a job, it's something you enjoy doing. And I think that that's one of the neat things I hear in your voice. But I got to ask you this question as well. Were you one of the unfortunate souls who had to play donkey basketball?
I have never been able to do that yet.
The Sheriff's Department does that. That's why I'm asking.
Things have came up, but I have not crossed that line yet. But I know some guys that have, and I can tell you they will be forever changed for it.
Yeah, I've seen pictures online. I said, I wonder if he's done that yet. That's something I don't think you ever would forget doing. That's for sure, being on a donkey. Again, the phone number if you'd like to speak with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada is 503-420-4062. That's 503-420-4062. What's it like in the wintertime there? You guys get pretty cold up there because it's high desert, and you've got traffic stops to make. It's December, January. It's short days and cold nights. What's it like there to work in the cold winter hours?
It's like you said, it's cold. The people that are listening to the show on the East Coast probably agree that I have no idea what cold is. But it's one of those things that as you live live in an area, you become adapt to what the weather is. And at night, we can get down to the teens and in the winter, and we don't get the 10, 12 feet of snow, but it can get cold. It can get cold, and I'm one that doesn't like the cold, so sometimes when I work at night, I look like I've just come out of Alaska. I have the full beanie on with a heavy jacket, and I look like I'm, in the, as I said, 20 feet of snow, but I'm not. So, but it gets cold. It gets cold.
Well, and you guys, there's not much precipitation there in the area as well, because from what I understand, there's about 4 inches of rain. That's it, basically, fall per year in the Pahrump area. Is that about right?
That's about right, yeah. That's about right. And we don't have, as you said, we don't have the drastic weather. When it goes to summer, you don't get like a slight 80 degrees or 90 degrees. You go straight from winter to 100 degrees, and the same when you go into winter.
Wow.
You don't gradually go into cold. You just immediately go cold.
Wow.
So it gets cold.
It's really fast. Wow. We're talking with Deputy Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada. You can speak with him if you'd like. The phone number is 503-420-4062. That's 503-420-4062. Lieutenant Murphy, if you'd like to meet somebody, if there's somebody you could meet living or dead, who would you meet and why?
I had to think a lot about that, and one of the ones that came to mind that I really liked is, since I was a kid, I'm a huge baseball fan, and I've always, since his career started, I always wanted to meet Chipper Jones from the Atlanta Braves. I thought that, that guy's a very, down to earth. I don't know if you saw that he just got inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I did. I watched his speech, too. Did you see his speech?
I did, and as you could tell, just like I said, he's a very down to earth, one of those guys that, I just admire and really respect that kind of guy.
The song we played at the beginning of the show, Zac Brown Band, Chicken Fried, I could see him listening to that and living that kind of a life, too. Couldn't you?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yep.
You could definitely see a guy like Chipper Jones driving around, like you said, in his pickup truck and just bebopping along to that music.
There you go. Yeah, from a small town in Florida. And basically, the interesting story about Chipper Jones, folks, if you don't know, he was a very, very big player for the Atlanta Braves. And first pick in the draft, he was a World Series champion. The guy was extremely consistent, very, very good player. One of the things I think that was interesting about his speech was how eloquent it was. I mean, he really put a lot of work into making sure that he didn't forget anybody and that it was very, very professionally done. I mean, this guy just, you could tell, I mean, he put a lot of heart and thought into that speech. And what's funny about that, Lieutenant Murphy, is that of all the speeches, and I know Jim Tomei, rehearsed his in his backyard and all that.
Right.
But what I loved about Chipper Jones's speech was you could tell it came from his heart. He felt it right there, So I don't want to disappoint you, but when you see me, if you watch this on Twitter, you're going to see that I'm wearing a Cubs hat. Okay. I just came back from the doctor and had a lead pulled out of my spine, and literally it was about 8 inches long. So I'm not dressed like I usually dress for these things because I literally have not been able to take a shower for a week and a half. So what you see is kind of what you get here today, but it is in a Cubs hat because otherwise you'd see hair that looks like alfalfa. Anyway, moving on. Tell me what you like to do in your off time. What kind of hobbies do you have?
One of the biggest hobbies I have is one of the things I love to do is my wife and I love to go camping and fishing. We spend a lot of time just decompressing, spending time together, and I think that's one of the biggest important things in my life is that we're able to do that because, we have a stressful job and we're dealing with people's problems all the time, and the last thing we want to do is deal with our own problems,
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of that camping and just leaving and, hooking up to the RV and going somewhere and going fishing and just to be able to focus on our relationship, our lives together, and I think that's huge.
That's fantastic. It's really cool that that's something you value very, very much. And I need to get better at that. I'll be honest with you. I need to get better at having like a date night or a date, day or whatever with my wife, because the times kind of get stretched out, and before you know it, a couple of weeks go by, and sometimes you just lose sight of that. So it's neat that you think of things in that way. That's good. We're on the phone here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada. He'll be on maybe live TV. We don't know. We don't know these things beforehand. We don't tell because it's actually a safety issue for the officers. But tonight's live PD again, 9 p.m. in the East, 9 p.m. Pacific time. He might be on there, and if you get a chance, you can call him right now and wish him good luck. The number is 503-420-4062. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're on duty right now, but just a couple more questions if I can. If you could say something to the fans of Live PD Nation, Lieutenant Murphy, what would you like them to know?
One of the things I'd like them to know is I think it's the coolest thing ever, what Live PD does and involves the fans, and they've been a ton of support to us guys on the show, and we enjoy the support, and I just really appreciate them supporting us like they do, and it's always good feedback, and I think the support, the biggest thing in my mind is the support is amazing.
Mm-hmm. You just got a heart for that. That means that they really liked hearing what you just had to say. I think the nice thing about this is I think when you're having a rough day out there, you can lean back and know that there are probably hundreds of thousands of people who really are not only, supporting you, but many are praying for you as well. And I think that, in any sort of profession, that's got to feel good to know, this side, I might be getting kind of some static here, but I have a lot of people behind me who appreciate what I'm doing. Have you found since Live PD you're getting more and more of those congratulatory handshakes?
I do. Like I was just talking this morning about the people in the local store and, the shaking of hands, and I've been at lunch and had people come up to me and ask me for a picture, and, like I said earlier, I think the support is just amazing, and, we just love it. I mean, people are getting to see what we, do every day, and they support what we do, and just the feedback and the following and, just the respect that they understand what we're doing. I just love it. I love every bit of it.
That's fantastic. We're on the phone for a few more minutes here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada, the Sheriff's Department there. How real is what we see on Live PD compared to what you actually do in the field?
With the Live PD aspect of it, that's as close as you're going to get to actually doing the job. I mean, what you see is what we're doing. And like I said a few minutes ago, I think that's important is, you see some of these other shows where they hone in on the chasing and the taking people to jail and, the exciting stuff. And the thing I love about Live PD is they show the everyday events, that it's not just about going out and chasing people and taking people to jail. You're dealing with people, and you have to have passion, and you have to have a heart, and they understand they've done bad, and they haven't done what was right, and I think that's the big thing is they see that we're human too.
I like the word. You have to have heart. I think that's so important. Because I think that's what's misunderstood in the world today about law enforcement. I think that they're seen in some places as being very heavy-handed. I can honestly say I haven't seen anybody in your department that way, nor have I seen anybody on Live PD that way as well. What were you thinking? Because I know that Nye County came on after the show started becoming a big hit. What were you thinking when it was maybe being talked about that perhaps Nye County Sheriff would be on Live PD? Was it something you were interested in, something you were curious about? Talk to us about that.
I in the beginning when we were talking about it, I was very interested in it. I thought it was, and I told people this a lot, is I thought it was a neat concept. The concept of it was just kind of reached on the verge of like that unbelievable stage. Mm-hmm. You know, being able to go out with officers from all over the country at the same time mm-hmm. and bounce back and forth between agencies and show as it's happening. Not edited, you know, as it's happening. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. that's what I think is interesting about mm-hmm. it.
Is it something that when you're in the field with the camera crew and the producer and everything, that essentially they know what you are going to do, meaning to stay back at certain times, to follow at certain times? It seems like you work seamlessly with your group. That's why I'm asking.
We do, yes. The group that we're with right now, they're a very experienced group. And as I said earlier in the show, they're an amazing group to work with. Mm-hmm. That was one of the concerns I had when we started was, you know, are we going to be tripping and falling over each other or anything like that? And they 100% prepare you for that. They tell you right off the bat, you know what, you just do your thing like we're not even there. If you start chasing somebody or you start moving rapidly or running, it's our job to follow you, not your job to follow us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what helps out is they're prepared for anything. You know, we make sure that we take care of them. If it's a situation where it could get dangerous, you know, I've told them numerous times where, you know, just stay behind me and let me be up front. Mm-hmm. You know, we've had situations where, you know, we have camera lights on in the car and stuff, and as we're pulling up to something that could be, you know, problematic, mm-hmm. They turn off the camera lights for us, and they make sure that they're not putting us in danger, and we make sure that the best of our ability that we keep them safe also.
And that's got to be a delicate balance sometimes. I mean, when you're dealing with people that are, you know, maybe unstable, that could be a difficult balance, which I give you a lot of credit for because that is unscripted. I mean, you can't prepare for somebody else's actions. And when you're dealing with other people involved in what you're used to doing, that can be a wild card. So considering what you have to do there, I give you a lot of credit. And I think most of the people that are watching and, you know, do the same.
Yeah, and you know, it's like you said, it's that fine line is, you know, like we talked about earlier, I have a job to do. Mm-hmm. But in the roundabout way of the whole mix, the crews have a job to do too. Mm-hmm. Their job is to get, you know, good shots and get the story and let the fans see what we're doing. And like you said, it's a delicate situation, but as you've seen on the show, we've been good enough to where we've been able to make it smooth and easy. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that's because two parts. You know, we're, you know, as you said, a lot of our officers are very experienced that they ride with, and they're a very experienced crew. So, you know, it makes it very fluid, like there are no issues, and that's what makes it fun.
Excellent. We're on the phone here with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from the Nye County Sheriff's Office. And just one final question I have for you here, Lieutenant Murphy. In regards to Live PD, do you ever watch yourself, you know, on shows that you know, when you've been on? And are there any other law enforcement professionals that you really like their work?
Yeah, I do. I like to kind of watch a little bit, and kind of pay attention to what I'm doing and critique myself a little bit. One of the guys I've really become to admire or enjoy watching on this show is Lieutenant Danny Brown from South Carolina. I really like him. I like the job he does from Richland. He kind of reminds me a lot about myself, not heavy-handed. When it comes to it, he'll put his foot down like I do. But he doesn't go out and treat people differently. He has that kind of little bit of that open heart, but when they're caught, and that's the way I feel is the same way, and I like the job he does, and I kind of feel that I do the same job as him.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I've interviewed Danny Brown twice, and you have a very similar style, the way you talk, the way you react, the way you speak, your tone. There's a lot of similarity there, and I was going to say that's one person you remind me of a little bit.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's a really, really neat guy, a very, very wonderful department, and a very kind man. So, last call. If you'd like to speak with Lieutenant Eric Murphy from Nye County, Nevada, phone number 503-420-4062. Otherwise, we're going to let him scoot so he can get ready to do his job because that's important as well. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with everybody here?
The only thing I'd like to say is, like I said earlier, we really appreciate the support. We love that people are watching, and we just really, really appreciate the fans, and the fans are very important to us, and we enjoy doing what we're doing. And like I said earlier, one of the biggest things for me is it's the greatest job in the world, and now it's even funner when you got people watching and they're having a good time just like we do.
As long as you guys stay safe, that's the main thing. We just want you guys to go home safe, and that's something I know a lot of people pray for, and there's Twitter pages for that. I mean, the reach of Live PD, Lieutenant Murphy, is unreal. I mean, it's just...
It's amazing, Larry. It is unbelievable, the people that you meet, and as you said, how far it goes.
Yep. It is a social media juggernaut. It truly is. I think it's probably the first big show the first show that I can think of at least, that started its life and exponentially grew because of social media. Because truly, your kindness coming on today, it's going to be seen by a handful of people right now because so many people are at work and can't call. But there will be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who will watch this either here on Twitter or on YouTube that will get to know you a little bit and will appreciate the man you are. And, one of the things I want to tell everybody is he's working right now, okay? You guys don't know that, but he's on the job, and here he is talking to us, and I think that's pretty cool. That's the kind of people the Nye County Sheriff's Company Group are. That's the same way that Lieutenant Berukowitz was as well, and we cannot thank you enough, my friend, for being part of the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Absolutely, Larry. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, you do me a favor. You make sure and come home safe tonight to your family, and just know a lot of people are praying for you. Folks in Live PD land, it's a new show tonight at 9 p.m. East. Join it on A&E. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next week, okay, with Leo's Coast to Coast. We thank the Nye County Sheriff's Office and, of course, the incredible Lieutenant Eric Murphy. Thank you very much, folks. Be good people, and God bless you.